Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm. We continue on with our derivation. What is sensorality? What is a sensor? How is censorship defined? So my rights continue to be violated profoundly and extensively. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, First Amendment, Fifth Amendment, Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Just saw our great governor. He was standing up for Beaver Creek, Ohio. Buc-ee's was suing them, and that big trademark infringement. But our great governor's just up there standing up for the little guy, just standing up for the hardworking values of Americans. And I continue to seek asylum outside of the United States of America. I'm currently being held against my will in the jurisdiction of Michael DeWine and of Donald Trump for doing scientific discovery. The clear and present value of my property is sitting right here on this channel in front of you. It is the only demonstration of complete mathematics. It's the only proof. It has tremendous, truly innumerable value. And I'm just asking for a little bit of money to eat properly, to sleep properly, and to work. My property is being restricted, my health has been destroyed, I've suffered grave bodily harm, and I just went out of this quote-unquote community, which isn't one, of people that sit around, scroll Facebook, and just watch the next sports game. It's disgusting. If I had children, they would not be allowed to be around this behavior, and I'm just from a community with no values. With that being said, we continue on with our derivation. Same progress as always, moving through our steps. What is tension to expectation? What is expectation to intention? What is intention to attention? What is methodology to morphology? Sensorality is word morphology. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is word form. Is morphology formal? Is liability a formality? What is rank to power? What is rank to exponentiation? Again, a logarithm, this relationship between a base and an exponent, a base and a power. Another word you'll get in mathematical ontology, logically equivalent, is rank. But just again, emphasizing the order in which these words get introduced into the derivation. What is rank to power? What is rank to exponentiation? Fundamental theorem, ordinality ranks. Direct iteration. Sensorality is rank. And now we have this again, sensodorality, odor, this conceptualization of rank being smelly, being stinky. Pungent odor is rank. Natural definition. What is identity to agency? Is agency agentic? Direct iteration. Does cardinality have rank? Is cardinality rank? What is rank to rock? Cool rocks. Direct iteration. Again, fundamental association, you rock. Positive connotation. Why is it a rock? Sensorality is a cool rock. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is agency to soul? What is agency to complacency? What is dependency to delinquency? What is fluency to delinquency? Delinquent is tardy. Natural definition. Tardy is late. Is proliferation differentiation? Sensorality is proliferation. Again, differentiation, proliferation, multiplication, addition. Again, in an environment that's bounded by physics, you can't have more mass. What is more? What is different? What is multiplying? Sensorality is proliferation. Sensorality is life oration. Again, life oration, the letters contained within the word proliferation. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is oration to propagation? What is propagation to integration? Is life special? Sensorality is a special sense. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is wondering to pondering? What is pondering to pandering? And is not an end. Direct iteration. Does language end? Does basis end? Does range end? Again, we have these fundamental numeric limits, fundamental stability of 2, iteration limit of 7 going to 8. And we're not explicitly articulating all of the theorems of the range or of the domain of every context in which something would be a sensor or sensorality. Again, we're not done with sensorality yet, but we haven't articulated every context in which somebody would be called special. We've just stabilized the conceptual basis to a finite amount of linguistics and derived this context where it's like, hey, this is a finite amount of words, speciality, special with an ITY, the tendency to differentiate for sexual antagonism, but that does not explicitly articulate literally infinite situations in which you would be called special. And so, all right, does basis end? We're kind of establishing a conceptual basis with finite linguistics. Does range end? No. Sensorality is the end of sensation. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is sensation sensory? Is speciality sensory? Again, this direct linguistic conceptual element, sensory, it's like the direct reduced form of sensorality. It's one of the most explicit word forms, but we just haven't made this direct connection yet of what sensorality is. It reduces all, because it centralizes, again, all of these steps we've made. Is sense sensory? Direct iteration, thinking it's got to be base sense, sensory, sensorality. 1, 3, 5 numerically. Is morality sensory? Is morality sensational? Do people know right from wrong intuitively? Yes. What is factorization to iteration? What is factorization to multiplication? What is factorization to filterization? Sensorality filters, sensorality is filterization. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is iteration to irritation? What is irritation to integration? Sensorality is irritationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is vibration to irritation? Is irritation irrational? Is irritation irrational? Or the same step literally twice in a row. It's not me repeating myself vocally. Nice. Is irritation a right? Emphasizing again that syllability, right, R-I-G-H-T, right, R-I-T-E, right? You're dead to rights, you have, or a rite of passage versus, hey, I have constitutional rights. It's all this one fundamental kind of conceptualization. Light, L-I-T-E, L-I-G-H-T, right, R-I-T-E, R-I-G-H-T. Even like especially versus essentially, that double consonants that we've pointed out explicitly several times. It's all just one big linguistic iteration or differential that we have to get our concepts in the right order. But irritation containing that R-I-T-E of a right. Sensorality is irrationality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is irrational sensation. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is urge irrational? Can't control my urges. I have urges too. I really want constitutional rights and away from hell. Not allowed. Sensorality is irrational fear. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is a fertilizer filter. Natural definition, direct iteration. Again, from the legal statute perspective, still wanting to emphasize this is forced servitude. I can't turn off my capacity in any way, shape, or form. And there's still some part of me that's like, hey, if I finish the most complicated, involved, scientific derivation ever, I might have some amount of time with my parents before they move on to the next existence or whatever, It's like, before they pass away. It's like, oh, but wait, I've already done this. So there's just no magical step, and I can't turn off my capacity. And this inconsistency, this derivation just naturally progresses whether I articulate it or not. And so in addition to being held against my will in a place I don't want to be, it's forced servitude. I don't want to contribute to the American economy in any way, shape, or form. And all of this fundamental realization is being directly stolen. Obviously, no one cares. Sensorality is a fertilizer filter. Fear is the uncertainty principle. Again, we have this, you can never break language, and we just have these words that contain the complete conceptualization. What is the uncertainty principle? Well defined, they think in physics, right? But particles are located definitive places. They're just moving. And when you try to see their movement potential or where they're gonna be, there's inherent error to that. But fear is the uncertainty principle, literally. So again, this emotional range, this emotional domain containing motion. Emotion, motion. What is principle to property? Sensorality is a principle, natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is principality, natural definition, direct iteration. What is principality to jurisdiction? Sensorality is jurisdictionality, natural definition, direct iteration. What is the function of jurisdiction? What is the function of jurisprudence? Who's in charge here? What is fluency to jurisprudence? What is fluency to prudence? What is prudence to agency? What is agency to agony? Sensorality agonizes, sensorality antagonizes. Direct iteration, again carrying this biological dichotomy, an agonism versus antagonism already has some sort of solidified biological context. What is agonizing to antagonizing? Is analysis agonizing? Is analysis antagonizing? What is antagonism to tension? Sensorality is antagonality, natural definition, direct iteration. What is diagonality to antagonality? Sensorality is diagonal antagonism, natural definition, direct iteration. What is diagonality to verticality? Are tangents diagonal? Is a standard operating procedure an order of operation? I know we've hit that conceptualization. Again, there's only so much logical structure that exists, and we just have to iterate and show our explicit linguistic iteration through all of it. But again, in business, standard operating procedure, and in mathematics, right? Ordinality, that logically, mathematically contains order of operation. Ordinality is just the order of things. Mathematical operation is a thing. But when people say standard operating procedure, right, is that algorithmic? Right? Is that a protocol? Are procedures protocols? But it connects directly, right? Standard operating procedure, order of operation. Operating, operation. What is operation to vibration? Sensorality is open operation. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing the geometric sequentiality, right? Open, then the letters of operation is literally the N opened to an R, right? R opens N. Kind of a fundamental geometric relationship. Still with this overarching dichotomy, there are no closed systems. The opposite of closed is opened, or is it? Sensorality is operality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is the opposite of closure? Right? What is closed to closure? What is differentiation to closure? What is infinity to closure? Is uniqueness finite? Again, emphasizing mathematically, you exist somewhere, there's always more information coming in. The slowest it can come in, 1 over the speed of light, the maximum information can travel the speed of light. That is what infinity is conceptually. Mathematically, it's just, or physically, it's this whole, again, it's awareness that there is just ever-growing information. Right? So what is differentiating, what is multiplying information? Right? It doesn't violate the conservation of charge or the preservation of mass. But is infinity closed? Is uniqueness finite? Nope. Remember, speciality is infinite uniqueness, right? And we're just still, you don't understand that this is just a linguistic, logical progression to show inversion, which is already present in the language. Is uniqueness finite? No. Speciality is infinite uniqueness. Systematicality is algorithmicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is an organic algorithm. Natural definition, direct iteration. Is organic agentic? Direct iteration. Sensorality is organicality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Are logarithms organic? Is intelligence organic? What is a controller to an operator? Is a scientist an operator? What is a business to a school? Is school business? Is school scholastic? Sensorality is scholasticality, natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is scholarly, direct iteration. Sensorality is trapped, scholarly. Sensorality is scolarity. Natural definition, direct iteration. Censor, scholar. What is a dollar to a scholar? Sensorality is dollarality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality controls dollar, direct iteration. What is a dollar to a decision? What is decision to tension? Sensorality is controllability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Hyphen and spelling is on the screen. Why do we go from control to controller with two L's, right? Now it seemed like a meaningful linguistic step to point out. Sensorality is controllability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality controls monitor, direct iteration. Sensorality is monitorality. What is a monitor to a sensor? What is condenserality to sensorality? Sensorality is denserality. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasizing that's D-E-N-S-O-R. Felt like just like a natural iteration. Obviously doesn't really have meaning, but just pointing that out. Sensorality is dense orality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is density propensity. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is a propeller to a controller? Sensorality is propellerality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality controls change. Sensorality controls charge, direct iteration. What is dichotomy to narrative? Sensorality is narrationality. Sensorality is narratable. Are narratives relatable? Fundamental theorem of identity. A narration is a relation. Natural definition, direct iteration, emphasize when people say, I can relate to that. Right? That narration is a relation. What is relatable to understandable? Linguistically, again, understandable. Clearly like a noticeably interesting amalgamation. Sensorality is understandability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality understands liability. Natural definition, direct iteration, and that is the conceptual basis for the Miranda rights. Right? Do you understand? Let me read you your rights. Do you understand your liability? Do you understand your responsibility? Do you understand your rights? Sensorality understands multipliability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality understands underestimation. Sensorality underestimates. Sensorality is estimality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is estimation to stimulation? Direct iteration is irritation, stimulation. Sensorality is stimulating. Sensorality is stimulative. Direct iteration. What is stimulative to cumulative? Summation is cumulative. Natural definition. What is summation to stimulation? Sensorality is accumulationality. Sensorality accumulates. Direct iteration. What is accumulation to distribution? What is distribution to discretion? What is distribution to attribution? What is attribution to contribution? An attribute is a characteristic. Natural definition. An attribute is a property. An attribute is a quality. Fundamental theorem. An identity has multiple properties. And so that should strike you naturally emotionally, right? You're one person, you have one identity, but your properties, your characteristics, there's more than one. So now we have some sort of cardinality to this relationship or this difference between identity, which mathematically quintessentially is articulated as exponentiation, a statement of self-iteration. But there's one identity and there are multiple properties. Sensorality is a quality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality is quality time. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality senses quality. Sensorality senses essence. Direct iteration. Fundamental theorem of emotion. Sensorality senses presence. Direct iteration. What is presence to fluency? What is presence to influence? Sensorality is influential presence. What is presence to process? Sensorality is a consequential process. What is consequentiality to elementality? Progress is a process. Trust the progress. I know we've repeated that before. Or said that before. Maybe that's the first repeat, but we've hit that one directly. What is trust to thrust? What is pressure to thrust? Sensorality preserves pressure. Direct iteration. Sensorality is progressionality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is progression to completion? What is progression to impression? Is sequence progressive? Is change progressive? Is aggression progressive? Progression escalates. What is escalation to estimation? What is escalation to scale? Right, the first 4 letters or 5 letters of escalation are scale iterated. Fundamental theorem, escalationality is scalability. Natural definition. Sensorality is scale. Sensorality is scalability. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality understands scale. Direct iteration. Sensorality is escalatorality. Natural definition, direct iteration. Sensorality controls escalation. Direct iteration. What is mediation to moderation? Sensorality is moderality. That's mode-ality. Sensorality is modality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is mode to principle? What is primary to principality? What is principality to municipality? Sensorality is municipality. Natural definition, direct iteration. What is municipality to multiplicity? What is municipality to multipliability? Direct iteration. Sensorality multiplies municipality. Direct iteration. What is appropriation to escalation? What is appropriation to operation? Sensorality is appropriationality. Sensorality is proportional appropriation. What is appropriation to appreciation? What is appropriation to rationalization? What is appropriation to realization? So that is where we finished up with the derivation for today, or right now. Again, just arriving at this fundamental, we're doing this derivation process, finding a fundamental derivative, but this relation, this integration, this fundamental step showing how sensorality is naturally integrated into ontology, giving us the definition of what is a sensor. But my rights continue to be violated. Again, it has destroyed every aspect of my quality of life, my entire life. I've never slept consistently. I haven't eaten consistently in 14 years. I've never made a genuine friend. My property is destroyed. My health is destroyed. Nobody has the maturity or cares. I'm from a community where people are just such failures, man. The St. Francis de Sales community, the St. Paul community. I ride my bike every day and go past these schools, and it's like, that school says we help those in need. And it's like, here's the law and your direct legal obligation, and I'm still a person in need. But not Brad. And Brad is the scapegoat for the whole species. No one literally cares. I can't emphasize how inhumane it is, how illegal it is, and how, again, as I've said a million times, no one cares. My property is never allowed to be used for the benefit of American industry in any way, shape, or form. My property is never allowed to be used for the benefit of the academic structure worldwide. I continue to have no politics. I continue to have nothing besides just, I want some amount of quality of life. I will never have a career. I'll never have a family. This goal of just being able to go into a grocery store and just buy anything, just buy food, has never occurred in my life. And it never will. People just don't process my life experience as anything meaningful, or, hey, we're actually T-wording this guy because he does a bunch of science that we all competed behind closed doors, we all clamor over each other, and he did the thing that we thought we could do, and then here's the process, and you guys couldn't do it in a million years. But I will never live a day of my life because you people just decide, hey, here's a scapegoat for our host species. We don't care. How disgusting of an example it is for your kids is truly beyond words. But you guys don't care. You can't care. The expected behavior, the established maturity of the human species is a whiny, bitchy 14-year-old girl that just me. And it's just everybody I've ever met is like that. At the same time, people are so privileged and pathetic, they can't even... The only law that exists is you're not allowed to offend pathetic people. Again, I continue to emphasize all of my teachers T-worded me as a child. They remain continuing and ongoing, again, by behavior and by merit of their actions, genuine public health threats. Like, honestly, it's just like these people do not know how to behave. And they're just around children. Again, my old teachers, my old schools, they're either directly lying to students or they're directly stealing from me or some combination of both. And it's disgusting. And I just went out of this failure of a community and this failure of a city, this failure of a state, this failure of a country. And I have no expectation it could ever change. But that is what I have for right now. I continue to prioritize working over absolutely everything else. If I finish censorality at any point in time, I will just be calmly, peacefully sitting in front of the State House saying, get me out of this country. And I take it as the biggest, most profound disgrace and shame and personal criminal activity against me to not let me leave. I'm being held against my will. I do not want to be in this location. I cannot turn off my capacity. And there's just some sort of fleeting thought that, hey, if I finish this proof, which again, I've already done this whole analysis process, that I can't prove any greater conceptual structure. And I'm in an immediate environment where it's just like, well, Brad, you bought those Bitcoins, my parents. Oh, you bought those Bitcoins years ago. We made you sell them again in breach of contract. That has been documented. Well, it's like, go make some money. And it's just like, my life quality is zero. I emphasize it in every video. Nobody cares. To the people I grew up around, it's disgusting. It's shameful. If the law ever exists, there will just be charges on your desk. You will just get arrested. But there are no law enforcement agents. There is no law. There is no maturity. There is nothing. Just another golf match, another baseball game. Just more fucking games, man. I will never have a career and a family because of it. That is what I have for now. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.